A magical moment in speedrunning has happened. A moment which might be forever remembered as one of the greatest showcases of skill and competition in speedrunning history. In December 2020, 7 of the best Dark Souls Remastered speedrunners participated in live competition, attempting to break the standing all bosses speedrun world record. While the task certainly wasn't impossible, the odds of managing this feat weren't great. However, something dreamlike happened over the weekend of the event. Not only was the world record broken, it was broken more than once, and within record time. Join me in the telling of this story as we will cover the lead up to the event, outline a brief structure of the All Bosses run, recall the event itself, and relive the amazing moment which made history. In the vast world of speedrunning, there are just too many things going on for one to keep track of, especially with the rising popularity of this wonderful hobby. I counted around 25 marathons on average being scheduled on Horaro every month through 2020, and those are not even all of them. Of course, popular speedruns like the Mario or Zelda series enjoy the deserved spotlight, as the depth these games offer is quite spectacular, all the while being the childhood favorites of many. But who could have seen the incredible rise in popularity of Minecraft speedruns by the second half of 2020? The speedrunning world is truly unpredictable. While all these speedruns carry themselves on the speedrunning pedestal, it might be easy to overlook some of the amazing things happening in other, smaller communities. I cannot talk for all of these groups, but I can try to tell you tales about some of the remarkable things that happen in Dark Souls speedrunning. Although Souls games have a widespread fanbase, their speedruns are definitely more niche than the aforementioned series. This video hopes to prove that even the general speedrunning audience can enjoy the intricacies Dark Souls brings to the table and appreciate the depth it has to offer as a video game during some truly astounding moments. The Break the Record event organized by ESA, the European Speedrunner Assembly, in cooperation with the Speed Souls community is a perfect example of such a moment. Break the Record is a competition which puts the game's best runners into a head-to-head race over the span of several days in order to try and beat the current standing world record. While not all world records are necessarily optimized, beating them usually takes at least weeks, but more often than not months or even years, so expecting to beat a world record within a hard time limit of just 3 days may be very optimistic. As such, the runners place according to their best times achieved during the event and receive part of the lucrative prize pool of $5,000 in this case. This setting incentivizes runners to join, as breaking the record is just a cherry on top. The main thing is personal improvement during the event, endurance and dedication. Nerves of steel to not crack under the pressure. That's the name of the game. I believe live speedrunning goes above and beyond what the hobby is usually about and places so much extra weight on the runner's shoulders. Dark Souls includes plenty of RNG elements with it, sometimes making it difficult to even get a run going past the first portion, so consistent play is absolutely a key for success. Once you do get a run going, imagine being on a PB pace live in front of thousands of people watching, then add the $5 grand on the line, and you have a recipe that can be cooked only by the most skilled of runners. The competition took place in the Dark Souls Remastered All Bosses category and was open for 7 runners to qualify. By the end of the qualifier, 11 submissions landed on the leaderboard. I managed to top the qualifiers with a time of 1 hour, 2 minutes and 34 seconds, setting the world record to beat during the event. Just a second behind was Oldschool, whose run was older and who hadn't streamed leading up to BTR, so no one knew exactly how ready he was. I and he were neck and neck, and both had an equal opportunity to break the record. Third was Danflesh, a dedicated runner who improved swiftly leading up to the event. Behind him was Nax, who had been running Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition for a long time, and his raw skill was enough to quickly achieve a 104 time in the remastered version. The last 3 runners, Iron Boy, Mintius, and Hentov, were trailing the first 4, but their times were enough to qualify and they had the most potential to better their personal bests during the event and surprise everyone, as they were improving at a rapid rate. Compared to regular speedrunning marathons, during BTR, the runners had the entire day for themselves, being able to do as many attempts as they wanted, except for the opening one. The event got underway with such a no reset race of most of the competitors, but not every runner was able to begin at the same time due to time zone differences. As to be expected, a race where you cannot reset when you normally would did not net anyone a new personal best, or even a great time in general. The standings after the no reset were led by Dan, who proved to be quite a flexible player, managing the minor changes to the regular route the best by far.
That is the first run completed. Currently, Dan Flesh in the lead with the fastest recorded time of the event thus far.
Speaking of the route, let's look at some of the major points where the run's life was on the line the most. The biggest hurdles in the early stages of the Old Bosses run are the lower Undeadburg, the bridge with the Hellkite Drake, and the Gargoyles boss fight. Lowerburg is filled with dogs, which might as well be the most hated enemies in the entire Soul series. These dogs can be brutal. They move fast, deal a lot of damage because of their bleed procs, and very often the runners will be low health, as they take fall damage from a skip they perform right before. However, there are still lots of ways to mitigate RNG by reacting accordingly. Hellkite, on the other hand, is a complete coin toss. The fastest way to get around this enemy is by running directly under him, but his several patterns produce different outcomes. If one gets lucky, they get through unscathed. The less fortunate feel the fire blaze their skin, although I suppose the undead don't really have anything to be blazed. Anyways, the Drake can decide to end the runner's early game on a whim, thus it is quite important to reach him as often as possible. To end the early game gauntlet, runners need to fight the gargoyles with a bandit knife, and even using a cleverly positioned firebomb throw right before the fight might not be enough to sway the odds in their favor. A fly-up will usually mean a huge time loss, or even a reset. That decision is up to every runner's evaluation, but keep in mind that they're working with limited time here, so they might continue runs they normally wouldn't. Once the players reach mid-game, the biggest challenge is without a doubt the Ornstein and Smo fight. As the current fastest route for all bosses uses sorceries as its main damage source, Ornstein cannot be permanently staggered. But what's even worse is his ability to jump dodge any spell casted. This introduces incredible amount of luck to the fight, as the difference between the fastest and slowest fights can be literal minutes. Once the first phase is conquered, playing around Smo is much more consistent, but it still poses a challenge and an occasional reset might occur there. The state of this boss fight once again proves that consistency is key. The more attempts to ONS, the higher chance of proceeding further into the run without a major time loss. Reaching the DLC after this point is more or less up to the runner's abilities, as the section after ONS is quite consistent. There are 4 bosses to beat within the DLC, the first one being Sanctuary Guardian, who can be quite tricky with certain patterns, but he's not the worst run killer in Ulasil. That would be Artorias, who has dodging patterns similar to Ornstein's. If the runner isn't willing to sacrifice time, they have to play extremely risky, oftentimes resulting in a death and an instant reset as the run back is way too much. After Artorias comes the Calamite fight done without Goff's assistance. This particular fight isn't difficult to execute with some practice, but Calamite has 2 different cycles which differ in speed, sometimes resulting in up to 15 seconds being wasted if really unlucky. The final boss of the DLC is Manus, who usually causes little trouble, but as with almost every fight in the game, one bad decision or an unfortunately timed attack result in a death and a time loss of several minutes. The end of Ulasil marks the beginning of the late game. This part of the run isn't filled with many difficult boss fights, as the Darkbeat spell shreds through everything. That being said, it still carries many opportunities to end the run. Upon getting through the Painted World, the runner is faced with a difficult decision. Either quit out before Priscilla and do a setup to avoid a potential soft lock, or risk it all and straight up one-shot her, which saves a bit of time but might end the run then and there. The last difficult part of the run is the Gaping Dragon out of bounds section. This jump, to get on top of the railing, is particularly precise and there is no consistent setup for it, sometimes resulting in tens of seconds being wasted. From there on out, it should be a breeze to the end, but as we will see in a bit, Dark Souls doesn't always play along. The runners pumped out plenty of attempts during the first day, and with the remaining runners arriving, the competition was kept up until late night hours. By the deadline, at 1 AM CET, I was able to be leading the standings with the only 102 achieved during the event so far, but it was quite clear that the runners were just settling in and getting used to the format.
And that's an event PB for Catalyst?
Although Danflesh actually managed to beat his PB by 10 seconds.
There it is. Dan breathes a sigh of relief, gets a run out of the gates, and there it is. Event PB. True PB.
Yeah, nice.
Everyone was only getting started. Second day started slow, as within the first 8 hours we did not see much action. Perhaps some fatigue from the previous day was affecting the runners, but it was quite obvious that today was going to be very important, as you want to relieve some of the potential pressure on the last day by securing yourself a decent standing with a good time. The first to strike were actually the competitors from overseas. The Argentinian Hentov not only improved his time from the first day by almost 30 minutes, but beat his previous personal best by a minute, making him the second runner to achieve this feat during the event. He was followed by the Canadian Nax, who similarly managed to beat his personal best by over 30 seconds. While these runs didn't move the standings, there were big indicators of improvement for both these runners.
I don't know if that was a happy thumbs up or or like.
Well, he did it.
Oldsku managed to close the gap between him and the first place, but his new time was still far from his real potential. Everyone knew that he's got what it takes to break the record, as he looked to dominate during day 3. Later, the Russian Iron Boy, who was putting insane amounts of hours into his attempts over the weekend, joined the PB club and improved his personal best to 107.52.
That's a huge PB.
Yeah.
107.52.
I personally wasn't getting anything going, but about 10 hours in, I got on a run. It didn't begin exceptionally, but the early game was solid. Hellkite gave me a clean pass, and the Gargoyles fight wasn't the worst either. Ornstein decided to jump on my last spellcast, but he got hit anyway, making it a swift encounter. There were some minor time losses in the mid-game, but the DLC is where the run was going to be made. It started off great, as both the Sanctuary Guardian and Artorias gave me great patterns. Later Manus joined that group, but Calamy decided to take his time. Gwendolyn is usually a much lesser problem with magic compared to melee routes, as multiple attacks from multiple positions can be punished. The fight on this run was an exception to this rule, and made the late game quite hectic. Everything needed to be rock solid from here on out if I hoped to beat the standing record. The feared gaping fogate skip ended up being first try, but the nerves were starting to show. These tiny mistakes in worse places can cause the run to end at any moment. It is never over until it is over. Fortunately, I managed to keep the run going, and on December 5th, 2020, reaching the end of it, this happened.
If all goes right,
Yep,
he
he's
could
10
grab
seconds
this.
ahead of me right now.
And if he doesn't, that's okay. He will still get an event PB.
That's
But
one bomb.
what he's aiming for right now, everybody,
Two.
world record. Let's hope the firestorm doesn't come. 3 runners have already been firestormed. Oh,
He's dodged it.
What?
I had to hold my breath.
What was that?
I was incredibly relieved, as I had never survived the firestorm in the remaster before. Not managing to set up the red tearstone ring range on the Black Knight in the kill meant a further time loss. However,
Yeah, me too. Okay. Plunge. Come on, Gwen. One hop from Gwen. Come on, Cada. It all comes down. It all comes down to this bonfire. This might be it. Oh my god.
102.34 to beat.
He's doing it. He got
That's
the
it.
world record. That is it. That is the world record, 102.30, beating it by 4 seconds.
And look at the reaction. That is the first time you've seen Cat like that whole run.
To bring that run home after that near firestorm death, that is absolutely incredible. Well done to Cat.
Once again, the world record was broken at a Break the Record event, keeping the streak going at 4 out of 4. With everyone in joy, thinking this was the event's peak, I knew this run would motivate all the other competitors to give the last day their absolute best, and knew it was going to be a tough final day. Still, no one could have predicted what was about to go down. The third day naturally saw the most activity from all the runners. Mintius from Japan managed to net himself a personal best of about 2 minutes, making him the most improved runner over the event. This made Oldschool the last runner to not PB during the event. Knowing this, his determination was stronger than ever, and about 9 hours into the session, he got on a run. His early game wasn't the best, but given the time constraint, he knew he had to continue. ONS was also not optimal. But good enough to try the luck further. Oldschool breezed through the mid-game with a couple of gold splits.
Oldschool got another gold.
Yeah, double gold for Oldschool right now.
To add to the drama of the final few hours of the event, while Oldschool was on his important run, just entering the DLC, I managed to get on a run at the same time. While my run was progressing through the crystal caves, Oldschool was able to get a solid Artorias fight with a slight time loss due to one missed soul spear. For the first time on day 3, I managed to not die on Artorias and got the perfect pattern, not wasting any time. Oldschool's DLC exit unfortunately wasn't swift, as Manus decided to waste a couple of seconds. This time loss meant he only had 12 seconds to spare to try and beat the 102.30, an unlikely task, but Oldschool managed to play out of his mind. My DLC did not go as planned either. Calamite was once again feeling sluggish and cost me precious time. Exiting the DLC, my pace was about 6 seconds ahead of Oldschool's, with about a third of the run still to go.
That's a 6-second advantage over Oldschool's current pace on the mana split. But now Oldschool had a gold on the forking segment, so let's see how Cadarev can match up with that.
Oldschool decided to use his keyboard and mouse setup for the Gaping Fog Gate skip, which cost him a bit of extra time, but he was getting first tries with it relatively consistently. I had no fancy setup, but fortune was on my side as I got the skip first try and saved valuable time over Oldschool's run.
What's the point of the run to get this one?
This is very tense.
Oh,
You got it!
right.
Lovely.
Let's go!
Wow.
With the hype not dying down, both our runs were progressing well through the final stages. And on December the 6th, history was made.
Okay, this is it. The moment for Oldschool, the run he's been waiting for, as we've got Catalyst on his heels. 22,
Yeah, we're on
was
to
it?
24 best possible for Oldschool right now. So potentially 6 seconds faster than the current world record.
Will he tank the hit?
Oh!
Oh, sad.
Oh no!
Right.
Oh, he's gonna shake his head.
Okay, let's see the fight.
Okay, it's a simple parry, we have to say, and then get 3 shots from the Dark Bead. In comes Gwyn.
Lands the
Parry. 1, 2,
Good job.
3.
Get
Done.
3.
Come on.
Should be a bad record for
Just,
Oscar.
even if it's for 5 minutes, the record
28.
is his.
Well done.
That's it.
28.
Oh man, congratulations, old school.
Oh, he did it.
Congrats, Osku. And then we still have Kata.
Oh.
We still have Kata. If he doesn't get a firestorm here. Oh no.
Oh no! Get through, get through.
Oh, he got
Don't
through.
die. Does it again.
Got through.
Oh my god.
What a game.
He saved time. He saved time.
Yeah. I think there's just respect between these two. Here we go.
He's got
There it is.
Let's set up.
Okay.
Roll-
1 parry
roll.
catalyst.
Roll out of the fog wall.
Do it, Kada.
And the final parry. Yes!
Nailed.
Got it. Got it.
One
That is
shot.
swag.
Ladies and gentlemen, 5 minutes after a brand new world record, we have a brand new world record.
Rat, Kata.
Insane.
Catalyst
Insane. GG.
confirms it.
On a gold. 102.23. Congratulations, Kata, for doing it again. Wow. Congrats to Olsku as well. And then
The
Kata
peace sign.
right back. Answering him immediately.
Within a matter of minutes, the Dark Souls All Bosses world record was broken not once, but twice. With these runs, against all odds, the 102.34 set before the event was beaten 3 times overall, and solidified me and Oldsku as one of the closest rivalries in speedrunning history. I was able to edge ahead and take home the 1500 for first place, but on a different day, at a different time, the outcome could have easily been different.
For that back-to-back world record, the adrenaline crash on me is having its effects. Like, please go get proper rest after that. That was like jaw-dropping moments there.
It was phenomenal. That moment's just like, ho ho. Like, everybody that was here for that witnessed an absolutely legendary moment.
It was very, very special, and I think, you know, after 4 break the record lives, we've, again, you mentioned it, 4 world records, but I don't think we've ever seen something quite like we saw today. You know, 3 overall breaks in the event from 2 different people back to back is one hell of a moment that I think we will remember here at Break the Record Live.
Truly one of the most memorable speedrunning moments of all time, and I'm extremely honored to have been a part of it. The Break the Record event was once again a big success, and I believe more events with similar formats might be the future of competitive speedrunning. It is one thing to do attempts on your own terms, but being put to head-to-head competition, live in front of thousands of spectators watching, brings a completely different set of skills to the foreground. Patience and talent simply won't cut it. Attitude, confidence, consistency, and mainly adaptability all play a vital role, and they separate the enthusiasts from the professionals. All 7 runners partaking in this event proved their abilities in those aspects, as they managed to improve drastically, beating their own personal bests set before the weekend. But there can only be one king. How long will his reign last? Only time will tell. Thank you for watching.